Unbreakable Her, the podcast, is here. This is a space for the stories of resilient women. We all know them, we are them, and we celebrate them. Episode 1 highlights the story of the most resilient woman I have ever known, and that is my grandmother, Doris Helen Talley. She was born in 1940 and she left this earth in 2016. So I didn't have her long enough, but for the time I did have her, she was incredibly impactful. And because she is not here physically and we can't learn about her story from her, you will hear from two of her children and two of her grandchildren, one being me, and we'll just try to fill in some gaps and just give you a sense of who she was. There's no way we could tell the whole story, but I do think you will enjoy learning about her. I want to say that some of the stories about her life include other people, her siblings, people she knew, and because they are not included in the episode, I really did my best to leave certain spaces blank, so as to honor the fact that even though it's her story, it's their story. So we may actually end up doing a part 2 because I think it might be cool to hear from her remaining siblings, living siblings, and other extended family. So you might see a part 2, maybe not. But yeah, you're gonna hear from us and just learn about what she meant to us and how we carry her legacy. The first person you'll hear from is Helen. She is Graham's oldest daughter and actually her only birth child. She could not have children after she gave birth to her, so she went on to foster and adopt a lot of other children, but this is her first daughter and only birth daughter, Helen. I only know like the very few stories that Graham kind of talked about her childhood. She didn't talk a lot about it to me. So when I was trying to figure out how do I get this information, I think of us and not any of her siblings that remain. So you're the one who knows the most.
She was the 8th out of 12 children, and her mother left when she was 5 years old.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know it was that early. Like I knew she left the family, but I didn't know Graham was that young.
She was 5.
Wow.
And she pretty much have been taking care of her younger siblings all her life.
Can I ask you, did they know like why their mom left, and did they have contact with her after she left the family?
Yeah.
So they didn't know. They just kind of woke up one day and she just wasn't there.
One day and she wasn't there. I don't know when they reconnected.
I want to point out something really interesting about that because I remember Grandma Pauline. That's all I knew. And at no point did I ever experience her like having any vitriol towards her. So I never saw her be like I never knew that her mother left her at 5 because I never saw her say anything or like demonstrate. I don't know if she did.
No.
In terms of like how she engaged with her when I was around. And so I think that's really interesting to me that when you talk about her being a survivor, that she could function and live and like be around her and not have, at least not in a way that was evident to others, have any like, or have like the animosity or whatever.
I know she would come and visit for like 2 weeks sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never, any friction that I was aware of.
Right.
Grandma would come and clean the stove and cook dinner, and I never saw, like, I can't remember anything being amiss there.
Got you.
But grandma she wasn't a very warm person. At least not that I saw. I mean, she sometimes seemed a little selfish,
Mm,
and I guess you have to have some level of selfishness to walk away from 12
12
children.
kids. So she was the eighth of 12. Mom left at
Five,
5. From anything that you've learned over the years, what was her home life like after that? She stopped going to school at 4th grade, and she did that specifically to help work.
which was, I want to say it was common back then, because her father was a sharecropper, and most of the kids helped work the farm or either helped with the household duties or watching the small kids or cooking. So yeah.
Okay.
And then he married. I don't know how old she was when he married Miss Essie. I would venture to say she was about 10 or 12.
Okay. So it was a good while that it was just them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Maybe even four, no, 13, 14, I would say 12, 13 when he
Okay.
married her, and she had 8 children already.
Father God.
Mm-hmm.
What's
So
that? The sharecropping Brady's? That's wild.
interestingly enough, the stepmother made sure that all of her daughters were educated. They all finished high school. Some went into the service, some went to college, but she never
She didn't have that same energy
same
for.
energy for his kids, like my mother, Aunt Bernice,
Mhm.
especially those two because they were younger.
And they were home.
Yes,
How old was she when she became pregnant with you?
15.
And she was still in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what was the impetus for her to be like, I'm out of here?
Her sister had a nervous breakdown, and her father asked her to go up to Philadelphia and be with her. So she left me with Aunt Teepee. And she said when she came back, she told her father she wasn't going back to help unless she could bring me with her. Because she said when she came to pick me up, Aunt Teepee had a lot of kids too, and she didn't want to leave me anymore. She
So her father told her to leave you? Or it was just kind of like, you go take care of that, leave
and
the child here.
will take care. Aunt Teepee said she would take care of me.
So even as a teenager, like she was mothering. She
Mm-hmm.
was like, nah, not I'm
She
not doing that again.
she wouldn't go back unless um, she brought me with her.
So that's helpful for just kind of coloring like her trajectory as like a young person. She always, I mean, growing up with a father who's a sharecropper and having to like stop going to school at 4th grade, the work ethic, it was just there. She was always going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I very specifically remember one time I didn't know that um I didn't know that she couldn't read. Um she later said that the way she got taught herself to read at the level that she could was by reading the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that, but I did not know that she hadn't reached sort of like the standard adult level of literacy. And I,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that, but I specifically remember that somebody had written her. I had to be like 7 or 8 at this time. And she gave me the letter and she was like, read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's not to me. And she's like, just read it. I was a good and grown adult before I realized why. It makes me think about how resourceful she was.
Determination.
I had no idea. And we're talking about a woman who owned her own home, and took care of everybody.
Mm-hmm. She was the Bank of Lucas.
Right. Right. And I remember one time you said if the world had been different and she had had the opportunity to really go down the path of being educated, that she would without question have been in finance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She just got it.
She got it. Truth is that she always felt, especially after I got about 12, she felt more like a big sister than a mother because the age difference was not that great. And the one thing that she told me, you take care of your family.
Mm,
And she taught me how to be resourceful as far as, like, sometimes I'll go in the kitchen and I'll fix something and Eric will say, where'd you get that from? I didn't see that. But she taught me to use what was here
mhm.
and be resourceful with it. And yeah, well, the one thing that I remember, I'm telling the truth. That's
All the time.
all the time. Well, it's the truth. And I would say sometimes the truth needs to be softened a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as making a home for my family, she taught me how to do that.
What do you miss most about her?
Just her presence, Ma. Just her presence. I remember one day I went over to her apartment and I just laid on her bed with her because I just needed to be in her presence.
Yeah.
That's what I miss.
When I think about just her upbringing, I can't imagine the amount of trauma that she was pushing through every day.
And after she got married, she miscarried 4 times.
Wow.
Hmm. And so she had to have a hysterectomy at a very young age.
Okay, so this is news. I thought that she had the hysterectomy after she had you because of like complications. I didn't know that she had miscarriages.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I feel like every time I learn something else about her, I'm just like, man, I knew she was strong, but goodness, like, is she was stronger than I knew she had to be.
Mm-hmm. So you imagine going through that and being left for another woman that could give him kids.
Wow, she really was unbreakable.
So this is Leslie, who is my mother. She was fostered by my grandmother at the age of 5 and then later adopted. So she came into the world of Graham at 5 years old, and you'll hear how that all happened. So, a product of the foster care system, she came one day and looked down and said, I want her. Now, I can't remember if there were conversations prior to or they had seen me prior to that day, but I remember that day like it was yesterday. And she was ready for me. She had my suitcase um, and took me home. She took me home. I remember, like I said, like it was yesterday. I was 5 years old, and yeah. So, like I said earlier, she had the love for children, and I am the product of her love. I'm the product of her love.
Can I ask you, when you say she came and got you, right? Like, or she chose you, what were you in? I think when I hear you say that, I'm like, was she in a it makes me think of and I'm not saying I don't I hope this is not offensive,
And
but the way you say it, it makes me think of like a pen. You know what I mean? I'm not making a judgment out of it about that, but I'm trying to picture it in my head. Was it like a group home? Was it a office? Was it like what was it? Do you
so
remember even?
I do remember it was so, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm not even trying to be funny or anything like that, which I try to be sometimes, but this is not it. Amy is really my life, like for real. It was a bunch of us in a room, in a big room with cots that we slept on,
Okay.
and it was the orphanage. It was an orphanage. She came and got
Okay.
me.
Okay. Okay. Because in my mind, I'm thinking like social services and And like that's okay. All right, so that makes sense. So she literally like chose you? That's crazy. Okay. Um okay, so go ahead. Go back to like what that experience was when you first saw her and then, like how that happened. Go ahead.
So I have to say it the way that I remember it. And you know me, I'm your mom. I'm not trying to be deep in anything, but it is what it is. So when she looked down at me, so you think about a 5-year-old, think about your son, 5 years old, small, and then when you look down on him, so you look down, so this beautiful, fair skinned woman with this beautiful dark hair looked down on me and asked me, did I want to come home with her? Yeah. and and I remember like it was yesterday that I said, she's an angel. And I had never gone to church. I don't remember anyone and the other, in the foster homes ever talking to me about an angel or anything. I don't know where that came from. So yeah, so I just remember and saying I felt like she was a beautiful angel. And again, I don't know where it came from, but yeah, she was my angel. Yeah. And then she came in, she brought me home. And I remember coming home, I'm always called it home, and there was all these people on this porch. I was like, what is going on? And I was holding on to her tightly. I was holding on to her tight. And everybody was there to meet me. And I was like, I just want to go to sleep, holding on to my suitcase and to my new. I called her my angel to myself when she looked down, but I called her Hey, because I didn't know to call her mom, or I didn't know. Yeah, I remember she asked me, maybe I was about maybe there for a month, and she asked me if I would like to call her mom. My siblings were calling her mom, so I said, sure. So I started
Oh,
calling her,
wow.
yeah, because I always
That's
called
so
her,
interesting.
I just called her Hey.
That is so interesting.
Hey.
Okay.
She brought me home. It had to be like a Wednesday or Thursday because that was the middle of the week. And I know a couple of days later, like that very Sunday, we went to church. And everybody, I feel like, and I don't know this to be true, I never asked her, but I just feel it. I felt like she had told everybody that she was getting another child. And everybody was, oh, she's so cute. And look at her little pigtails and just all of that. And I was like, I knew these people that get out my face. I'll never forget. Always held on to her. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I just wanted to be with her. But I do remember, yep, she took me to church. And again, I had never been to church. She took me to church, and she had a time when she didn't go. But she would send us.
Mm,
And
mm.
then when she started coming back again, it was just great, going to church with her. She was an amazing woman of God, period. There were times, I don't know if you remember, but she used to have this it was a huge Bible.
Bible. Mhm.
First, it sat on her TV at her house. But I remember when she started putting it on the bed and she would read and she would tell me, come here. She would say, come here. But I go back to some of the things that she did, and that's what helps me in my faith. Because although she was limited in her education, but her mind was sharp. She knew what God has said. I know I believe it. Nobody can tell me differently that she didn't, that she heard from God. She heard from God. But she loved the Lord. No, she loved the Lord. And you better watch out. Because, baby, when she got ready to dance, you better,
Honey.
hey. Yeah, so yeah, just an amazing woman of God who carved me into this woman that you see in front of you, who didn't know who she was, didn't know too much about anything. But she was that one when most people had already counted me out. You're not going to be anything. Like, people literally said that, and that was never her story. Just like, never her story out of her mouth to me. You can be anything that you want to be, who you set your mind to be. That's what she said. You can be with whoever you set your mind to be. And so she was instrumental in helping me, because where my life scripture is Romans 8:28. And we know all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and who are the called according to his purpose. I recognized and understood that when I had those that bitterness about my biological mother, and she would never let me be bitter. She wouldn't let me be bitter. And she said, always would say, this is what God wanted. But that was her saying, and we know all things work together.
Mm-hmm.
Her toughness. So I remember when I told her I had to go to her till I was pregnant. So that was the time that I recognized and understood that she was tough, but caring and loving and everything all rolled up into one because she had to be. Then why I say she had to be was because basically, um, I think she was more. I think no, I don't think. I know she was more hurt than anything, and I always thank God because I was 15 years old, so I was still a product of the system, and she could have sent me back, but she did not. Why? Because she loved me. She was hard on me because she told me that you could do this, and I will never forget. And she was like, "You have to get your education. Education was key, and that's why I was so hard on my children when it came to their education." But I remember that as tough as she loved me through it all. Woo! Nope, nope. I said I'm not. Mm-mm. As tough as she loved me through it all. And you know this story, but she was tough, and she told me, "You are going back to school, and you are going to graduate." And I said that was around the time that 1981, 82, they were abusing the children in daycare centers. Children were being left, things of that nature. And I never will forget. She told me I was going back to school. She said, "You're going to get that diploma." And we were looking for daycare centers for you. And she wasn't having it. And I remember I think we were leaving one daycare center. She said, "I'm just going to do it." I went back to school and he kept you. Left your job. And he kept you until you were able to talk. She said, "We have to make sure that he can tell us what's going on." That's who Doris Helen Talley was.
Yeah. Okay, Sarah, cause
Yeah.
the baby girl
Hmm.
of the Grands.
Okay. Um, I think the times that stand out the most to me with Granny are the times when I would go to her house after work. I would go to her house. I would tell her we were going to hang out, but it really ended up me sleeping on her sofa for hours because I had been up all night. I would go to her house in the morning or the afternoon and stay to the evening, and we would do nothing. We would just sit there. She'd make me something to eat. We would talk, and she would share her little details. She would ask me really personal questions about myself, and then tell me she was surprised by my answers, and she thought this, that, and the third about me, and like it was just I I appreciated those moments because I think that growing up, I always viewed Granny as so strict. She was so strict. Everything had to be like very like a certain way. But I think when we think of adults or when we think of people in our lives, especially someone to that, like how I viewed Granny at that time, you forget that she was a human and she was a person and she had feelings and she was young before. So when I had those moments with her when I was older, it shocked me because I was like, why is she asking me this? Um, and I really appreciated seeing her as human, not my grandmother, not the lady with the strict rules. She was a human, she was a woman, she had experiences, and I think that that time opened up my eyes to that.
That's so cool. Yeah, I feel like, interestingly, I feel like it took me a long time too to see her humanity, but
Hmm.
from a different perspective because I almost I think I almost deified her
Hmm.
because she raised me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it was
Yeah.
like she raised me and nobody could do anything to me. Like,
Nope.
what, Graham, if Graham said it, then leave me alone.
Hmm.
Like,
That's it.
even stuff my mom tried to get. I was always like a very conservative person, like even as a
Hmm.
child, just in general. And my
Right.
mom would try to get me to like be more outgoing or like do more things. And Graham would like, leave her alone. And I'm like, that's right. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
So, um, so yeah, I didn't really get to see. like her experience, her humanity until later too.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. In what ways did knowing her, growing up with her, and your experience with her, in what ways did it shape how you are as a parent now, and like not just how you are, but how you want to be?
Right. Knowing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, um, I think for me, when I think of Granny, what I take away from that and what I strive to be is resilient. I know we all have heard the stories of grandmom, not really getting an education. She was working on her father's farm, is what my mom told me. And she grew up not being educated. She grew up not having. She grew up with so many disadvantages, but she was able to create a beautiful life for herself. She owned a home that many people lived in. It wasn't like a place where people could come to do whatever. I think at one point everybody lived at grandmom's house at one point in time, myself
Quite
included.
literally everybody.
Myself included, Will,
Mm-hmm.
you, like everyone, Amanda,
Yep.
all have in some ways. So she created this life for herself from nothing. And if there's anything that I strive to be is resilient. When things don't go easy or when I'm struggling, I always think back to her. I think back to my mom. I think back to different people who have been through hard situations and have still come out better than what they had been through. And as far as being a parent, I think one of the biggest things that I try to instill in my stepdaughter is respect. Um, Granny did not play.
Not
Even
Monday through Sunday. No, she
I
did
was
not.
not. No, she did not. She did not. In a like, even if I wasn't being disrespectful to her, if I was being disrespectful around her, um, there was some kind of something that happened. So I always teach. I always try to teach Aria about respect of elders, of people who, of me and her father. Um, just respect, basic respect. Um, and those are the two things I strive to do from knowing her, I
Yeah,
think.
she was tough.
You did not play.
That was a tough woman. And I think when I say like, oh, I got to experience her humanity later, is I got to experience the softer parts of her,
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Yes.
because again, she raised me, she protected me. Like, I didn't want to be anywhere but with her, but she
Mm-hmm.
was tough.
Tough.
Like, as a kid, I don't remember hugs and, like, come here, I love you. I don't remember that as a child.
Which is funny because, like, I agree with that. I don't remember that. I remember hugging and saying goodbye and that kind of thing, but just to have a hug. But I never didn't think it wasn't love. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it was love. But what? Like, I wasn't getting hugs and that kind of stuff, but you couldn't tell me that she didn't love me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I never felt unloved. Like, I hear
Mm-hmm.
people say things like that all the time where it's like, my parents didn't show me any love. I didn't know how to I never felt unloved.
No.
But that affection and that softer like engagement, that didn't start
Mm-hmm.
happening until much later.
Right.
Like, I got it as an adult, and even like, I mean, well into adulthood, I think.
Yes.
And I think, these are all, what are the questions that we would love to ask her? Like, I think it's because she started to be able to like relax and like breathe, because we talk about her resilience. Your mom talked about it. Obviously, we all know about it, whether it's from
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we have heard in the stories we've heard and what we
Right.
know historically, or what we saw. Like, she was tough and she had to be.
Yep.
But then I think she got to that point in her life where she was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like, everybody's okay.
Yes. And that's what I was
you
going to
know
say. Like, it's almost like I always wondered who she relied on back then because everybody relied on her. And as a woman who I have two people, sometimes four, if you include my parents at times, relying on me, like, I get overwhelmed. I get stressed. Granny had numerous people relying on her
Everybody.
at various points in throughout her life. And I'm just in awe of that because like I want to tap out sometimes. Like I had enough. Like I need a moment. Like child, I hear you, Aria, got you. But I need a moment. But I've never sensed that from her. I've never sensed that it was overwhelming to her.
Mm-hmm.
But then I wonder, like, who was her safe place? Who did she confide in? I know Jesus, but I saw her reading her Bible. But beyond that, like, did she have someone to go to? And that kind of makes me sad because I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a question that would be interesting to like know the answer to. I know that, in her sort of elder years, I know she leaned on your mom a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For like stuff,
Right.
like do things, go places, or
Right.
that kind of thing. She leaned on Mikey a lot. Mikey used to call her his daughter.
Yes.
He'd be like, let me go check on my daughter. So I know she leaned on him. And then, obviously without Mikey, I was there a lot to do
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff,
Right.
take her wherever and grocery shop, all of that stuff.
Yes.
But I do, and I know my mom was there sort of because the other kids, there's your mom and like the other
The
kids.
other
The
kids.
other kids, I talked to my mom about the fact that she was like, yeah, I'm sure it was hard. We're talking about how the experience could have possibly been for your mom because she was the only natural child, and
Mm-hmm.
so even if she saw them as her siblings, like they aren't blood siblings, and they
Right.
hurt her mom. My mom was talking about this because my mom is in this very like, she's very introspective and like
Mm-hmm.
really aware of just who she has been in the past and
Right.
stuff. And she was like, yeah, and we hurt her. She was just talking about like the kids that Graham like ultimately adopted. They made her life harder at times. And so as like
I never thought of that. That's interesting.
my mom said this to me like 2 days ago. I was talking to her and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, like I could see that. I could see how from your mom's perspective, where it might have been like, I love y'all, but also enough.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
but just what did that mean for her to
Right.
have, did she have thoughts about what the impact was on the family taking like these kids in,
Right.
and how it impacted your mom, and ultimately, like, did she have regrets about that? Because there were some rough times because of
Yeah.
their choices,
Yeah.
um but these are obviously things that we won't know the answer to, but that is a really good question. Like, we don't know because even her older siblings relied on her.
Then that's the thing. Like it was everyone, literally everyone. Yeah, agreed.
And when I talked to your mom, we were talking about the fact that your mom always says that if Graham had the opportunity to be educated, that she would have been like a banker or in finance, because she was so good with
With
money and it
money.
was intrinsic. Like, without
Yes.
learning it, she was so good with money to the
Mm-hmm.
to the point where everybody went to her when they had needs. Like, how is, a woman who spent decades as a housekeeper, how is she the family bank? Because she was her with money.
She was very good
you
with money.
know
Mm-hmm.
like um
And she never
but
asked you for anything. Like if you went and stayed with her, she never asked you for anything, which is insane to me. But okay.
nope.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. I remember one time she said to me, somebody had borrowed something from her, and when people would borrow money, if they paid it back, like,
Mm-hmm.
great. And normally she didn't, she just trusted people to pay back, but when they didn't, she usually wouldn't, she had no problem speaking up for herself, but she would give them rope, like, more and more time, more and more time. And like, when she had to say something, she was very frustrated when it
Mm-hmm.
was like, and she said to me one time, because she had a conversation with somebody in the family who owed her money.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I need my money, Moot. I said, I know, Graham. She said, what if something go wrong with my water heater? I got to pay for that. I need, and I was just like, you right. They need to give you your money. because it was like, but in that, what she was really teaching me, and I was probably like college at this
Right.
point, but it was like, listen, I have to have a reserve because I own a house. And like, yeah, I have insurance, but like anything that goes wrong in here is my responsibility.
Yeah.
She would say, I can't call nobody. Like there's no
And that's the
landlord.
thing. Like, we all called her.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
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 And moments like that are tough for me because I'm like, man, what if I could have, like, what if I should have been more of that?
That's yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
what if, I don't feel like I was in my adulthood. I don't feel like I was a taker. Like I was there, to do things for her and like take care of things. I wrote out her check for her bills and all of that stuff.
Right.
But I never asked the question whether she needed
Yeah.
more than that.
Yeah. Yep. I remember going to the store for her when she was in that apartment that she was in when she passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to go to the corner store and get something. She said, "Can you get me a Pepsi?" And I said, "Yeah." She went
Mm-hmm.
into her purse to hand me money. And I said, "I don't need it." And she was insistent on it. And I said, "No, I don't want it." And I left it there. And it was just her insistence, like, we shouldn't do for her. Like, it's just mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's crazy because when your mom was talking about just how she grew up, it was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Like I didn't know that when her father remarried, that woman made sure her other children were educated. Like I never knew that. So and that she treated them like, like they weren't part of, like, those are his kids, not my kids. And so I'm like, man, she really had to fight for everything she had.
Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine it being hard going through decades of being that way, being hard to be like letting people do for you because she always had to
Yes.
do for herself.
Yes.
I mean, she only went to the 4th grade
I know.
and then she had to go work on the farm. Like that's crazy
It's
to me.
insane. It's insane.
Like I'm looking at my son. No, he ain't cut out for no farm work. No.
Neither is mine. Like,
Like nah.
neither is mine. Complaining the whole time.
Right? And she did what she did what was in front of her. It was like, who else gonna do it? Of course I'm gonna do it.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it makes me feel like this is, you have your mom, you have my mom,
Mm-hmm.
you have me, you, Amanda, and that's the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Just the girls.
Mm-hmm.
We're all like that.
Yep.
Like, and I think we're healthier probably like mentally and emotionally because we have more tools than she had.
Right.
Right. But tell me it's something that needs to get done and I'm just gonna do it.
It's gonna get done.
It's gonna get done. Regardless of the obstacle.
Yep. We'll figure it out.
I mean, we always figure it out.
That's always, I'll figure it out. Yep.
Like I haven't seen us crumble. We always just figure it out.
Figure it out.
At this point, my mom's not even genetically linked, but at this point it's genetics. Like it is.
But that's the
I don't care.
nurture. Like, I don't know what they grew up like, but same with us. My mom is very much okay, well, you'll figure it out. Like, here, we'll do this. Or she'll come back and say, "Did you figure it out? Because I was thinking about this." But it was like giving us the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think that's part of it. Like, I hate to say it this way because I don't want it to seem like my mom wouldn't rescue me if she had to. But there's a level of let her drown. And let her figure it out.
Yep.
Then if she doesn't get it, I will come in and help.
Yeah. It's a difference between like, I don't know what to tell you, and turning your back and I'm going to let you work through it and watching you flail because they're still watching.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're still watching you flail. And if the flailing stops, they're not going to let you go. They're not going to
No,
let you drown. You know what
no.
I mean? Like I
And that's
think
very
that's the
much my
difference.
mom.
Yeah.
That is very
Yeah.
much my mom.
Yeah. Because that's is important because I've worked in a lot of spaces with very privileged children.
Mm-hmm.
These kids don't know how to do nothing. They don't even know how to iron.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know how to iron. You know how that shirt is wrinkled. I'll just wear another one. What?
Yep. I think part of it too is maybe it was something about the women. I noticed a difference between the way my mom raised me and the way my mom raised William. The reliance that I have on my parents at this point, at this age, is emotional, um, guidance, that kind of thing. Financially, I don't really ask for help. I've never asked for help. I figure it out. And I think that that is how maybe my mom might have felt with Granny. You know, you have little brothers, little sisters. You know, my mom said that she grew up and was doing things on her own. So maybe I was raised the same way. Maybe it was just that resiliency is passed down, passed down, passed down. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
But that's just a thought.
She took all of
The
these
heart she had.
with all that she didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what you said earlier, we never felt unloved
No,
because you can't see her coming from literally nothing,
nothing. Mm-hmm.
raising her own child,
Mm-hmm.
being in a marriage that was not
Not good.
okay,
Mm-mm.
having someone leave her because she couldn't bear more children,
Mm-hmm.
and then keep the children that she tried to get initially as like, this is how we'll build our family,
Mm-hmm.
because she couldn't have more children. And he was
Right.
like, nah, I'm out. And she kept those children and raised those children and then cared for their children, which is us.
Yes.
Like, of course that there was love.
100%. Never questioned. I would have never thought anything different. Mm-mm.
Never.
The only thing that came to mind, like instantly, was she's everything for our family. Everything. That was the one word that came to my mind when I'm searching for how to describe her. Um, but I would say one thing I would want you to know about my grandmother is that she was like the epitome of strength. She was the epitome of resilience, the epitome of faith. I also think that she was selfless. That's the
Mm.
word I use. Selfless.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to give a short thing, those are the things that I would say about her. I think it's hard because I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I, and it's the same kind of thing that I had with Michael. And I think it's just because they're not here,
Mm-hmm.
is that when I think about them and I talk about them, I get sad
Mm-hmm.
because I hope that they both know how much they were loved. I
Mm-hmm.
know you and I said we felt her love. We never felt unloved. And I just hope that she could say the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had that same wonder at times because they were taken so suddenly.
Yeah.
I say all the time that the month between, or that short, I don't remember, it's like 2 months between Graham's stroke and then when she passed away, that was
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Yes.
It wasn't for her. So it was almost like she was still giving,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I remember my dad was messing with me in the room and she had like the mitt on her hand
Mm-hmm.
and she lifted up her mitt and her one eye was down and
Yes, because
was gonna punch him.
knock you. That's what knock you.
Love her.
Bruh, she was herself. She was literally herself until the end.
And that's the other thing. She was always there. Like anything you had, anything, she found a way to be there.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's amazing. There's no one like her,
Yeah.
honestly.
Ever.
No.
Ever. What are some of the 2 or 3 key things you would, if they didn't say anything else, you have to know this?
If I had to use one word, it would be survivor. She strive to be her best no matter what her circumstances were. She's very honest and truthful.
She was tough. I never really saw my grandmother rattle, even when it would have made perfect sense for her to be. She was unflappable.
She was tough, but caring and loving, and everything all rolled up into one.
The only thing that came to mind, like instantly, was she's everything for our family. Everything.
That's it. That's the episode. What did you think? Please rate, comment, review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. If you engage in that way, it will get the podcast in front of more people. It'll appear in more people's algorithms. So please engage. Let us know what you think, and please reach out if you have anybody that you think has a story of resilience, and any woman, and you think their story should be told in this format. Please reach out. Best way to reach out is on Instagram at Unbreakable Her podcast. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Stay unbreakable.